All right, so here's a quick video on how to solve and set up proportions and how to set up ratios and all that fun stuff. So all proportions are a way to kind of compare things to help us solve equations. So whenever we solve proportions, we're first going to set up our ratios. Once we have our ratios set up, we're going to cross multiply, and then we're going to get our x or our whatever our variable is by itself. We're going to solve for it. All ratios are a way to compare two things. So in order to set up a ratio, we're going to find the relationships. So let's go ahead and practice. So just a quick review. Let's set up a ratio. Whenever we set up a ratio, we're basically just going to put it in the order that it comes in. So we're going to take the first number and put it in the numerator. We're going to take the second number and put it in the denominator so that we have a fraction. So if you've played Call of Duty or Halo or Destiny or any of those fun, awesome video games, then you always have a kill to death ratio whenever you play like Team Deathmatch or something like that. And this is an example that a lot of you kind of use a lot, so that's why I'm going to use it right here. So say we're playing a game and I get 10 kills and I die 4 times. We want our kill to death ratio to be high, otherwise we kind of suck at our game, but that's okay. So when we have a kill to death ratio, we have our kill first, so I know that 10 is going to go in my numerator, and then we have our death second, so my 4 is going to go in my denominator. So then we have K over D, so 10 over 4. We're going to simplify to 5 over 2. Now, when you play your video games, they're normally going to give you a decimal, so it would be 2.5, which is a pretty good kill-death ratio, I think. So now let's set up a proportion. It's just going to take it a step further. We're going to have 2 ratios, and we're going to have an equal sign in the middle. Setting up proportions are all about finding relationships. So start with one ratio, and then set up your second ratio such that you have a relationship vertically and horizontally. So here are your 2 key components there. So here's an example. Say I'm making some cookies for you guys, and I know that 3 eggs will give me 12 cookies. But say I got 12, or say I have more than 12 kids in my class. I got 16 kids. So I need to know how many eggs I need to make 16 cookies. So start with your first ratio. So here, 3 eggs and 12 cookies are my first ratio. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up just like we just did. I'm going to take 3 eggs since it comes first, and I'm going to take 12 cookies since that comes second. All right, the only difference here is that I have another ratio to account for. I have 16 cookies and X amount of eggs. So when I set this up, I want to have a relationship vertically. So I'm going to keep my eggs together. So I don't know how many eggs I have, so I'm going to put an X up here. And then on the bottom, I need a relationship horizontally here again, so I need cookies. Now my vertical relationships are going to be that 3 eggs make 12 cookies and blank eggs make 16 cookies. So when I set it up, it's going to look like this. All right, now, ooh, that's kind of, oh well, I think y'all can read it. So here, 3 and X are both eggs. 12 and 16 are both cookies. 3 eggs make 12 cookies, and blank eggs make 16 cookies. Now I can also set it up like this, because here I got my cookies, here I got my eggs. Here 3 eggs make 12 cookies, and here X eggs make 16 cookies. I'm probably going to stick with this way just because it helps us when it's easy to set up my first ratio. So just set up your first ratio and then figure out your second one such that you have horizontal and vertical relationships. Now let's solve it. So let's pretend that I gave you that word problem and I want to know how many cookies I need, or how many eggs I need to make 16 cookies. So here is my proportion that we just set up. Now let's solve for it. Solving for this is super easy. I've probably been doing it since like kindergarten. So all we do is cross multiply. I'm going to end up taking 16 cookies and multiplying it by 3 eggs, and 12 cookies multiplying it by x eggs. But in order to do that, I'm going to make my life a little easier and I'm going to simplify first. So I'm going to look at just my numbers, and I'm going to say that 3 goes into 3 one time and 3 goes into 12 4 times. So I know that this ratio simplified is 1 over 4 equals x over 16. Then I just cross multiply. I'm going to end up taking 16 times 1 and 4 times x. And when we cross multiply like that, again, we're crossing and multiplying, so I get 1 times 16 and 4 times x. Simplify is just 16 equals 4x, and I just solve. To get x by itself, I divide by 4 on each side. So I know that I'm going to end up needing 4 eggs to make those 12 cookies. Now, try your worksheet. Most of them are going to be pretty simple. If you have any questions, just please raise your hand.